Hello, I'm Buchta. I'm creative director of Arma 3 and I'm ready to answer your questions here at Gamescom. We've decided to change for a future because it's a logical continuation of what we did with Arma 2, which was set like 1 year before its actual release, with Arrowhead, which was set even slightly more in the future. And in Arma 3, we decided that with the features we intended for the game, it would be simply good to select the date around 2035, partly to explain all the political background, changes of situation in Europe, and yeah, it's exciting to have more freedom at hand suddenly. So let's see how we will cope with that. I would say that there are a lot of changes in the engine. For example, introduction of the Physics 3 instead of the previous physical simulation, improved HDR, and of course, above all, quite obvious changes in the player's ability to swim underwater, use the scuba equipment. There are numerous changes like customizable weapons, customizable characters, weight actually influencing your fatigue and speed. We could probably produce a list containing several dozens of such improvements. There's a lot of it. I hope I named the most important ones. There's this vision of a realistic shooter or a military tactical game present in the company from its very start. And I would say that we are gradually getting closer in a way. So I would say that Arma 3 is another step closer to this ideal, but we are certainly not there yet. The new physics we are currently just introducing will hopefully not have any adverse effects on the game itself, but bring the better physical simulation to various objects. We are not talking just about the vehicles, but in general collisions, object interactions, all these things may look better, sometimes feel better, and sometimes even allow us to create some nicer gameplay than we were able to do so far. The core of the single-player experience of Arma 3 will be certainly the campaign. I would like to highlight that it will be organized in a slightly different way compared to our previous products, and I would recommend everyone to either check some Gamescom footage or come to Gamescom and see for himself. To sum it up, you, in the role of the main character, start in some military camp from which you can take on various missions, and based on how you fulfill these missions, which ones you choose, you progress in the campaign. The particular bits of the gameplay will be rather short. We may compare it, for example, to the single-player missions or to the Operation Flashpoint style of missions, but the way that they would be arranged will provide sense of continuous experience and freedom. So I'm really excited about this myself. Even playing the demo, free roaming in the camp and choosing your what you momentarily feel like doing is fun, because it's not just about these missions. You can also try to shoot targets, inspect various weapons and vehicles. It's really exciting. And of course, we would like to facilitate quite smooth and not so steep learning curve. We decided not to make the cooperative campaign. Naturally, the game will contain some cooperative missions because it's also our favorite gameplay. But in the campaign, we tried it in the previous projects and it brought us lots of technical difficulties. We had to do a lot of compromises, and we thought it would be much easier for testing, much easier for the development to clearly separate the single-player campaign and the multiplayer experience. Of course, the engine allows us to make a cooperative campaign as well, but such campaign would probably have a different story in it, or it would to some degree lack any story. It would be more military-like experience. It's certainly a possibility, but we decided not to focus primarily on it because we just want to give people nice single-player campaign without too many compromises. The user-generated content is very important part of our whole business, because we supply community with tools, with know-how, with an inbuilt mission editor, and it's exciting to see what people can do with that. And they certainly like to play with it, and I think it's good because when you don't just consume the game, but you can be creative. And when you are open about these things, and when you allow people to modify our game, they can spread the word, spread their modifications, and there are cases like, for example, Daisy lately, which have quite extraordinary effect to the game and to the company, and it's like a big investment, and it sometimes pays off, and it's definitely very important, and we will keep supporting these efforts in the future with Arma 3 as well. Localization for Arma 3 is part of our plans. Localization opens new markets. It's natural we will try to localize it as much as possible. Again, Arma 3, it will be certainly released with the usual localization kits for German language, French, Spanish. Well, it depends a lot on the publishing work, but I'm certain that no major language will be omitted.